Hey guys, so I want to make a quick video going over my brand character and more so the budget version, stuff you can do to make it cheaper and all that. So first things first, let's just go over the gameplay. So this is moderate PoE. He was playing this build with absolutely zero mirror gear, and as you can see, it's still very effective. It's really good for tier 17s, really good for speed mapping, whatever you want to do, tier 16s as well, of course. So yeah, I did try to make the build as budget as possible while also keeping all the nice quality of life features in there, and I think also improve the build as well. But yeah, as you can see, even with zero mirror pieces, with the footage you can see, it's still extremely strong. You still kill the boss really fast. It's roughly like 120 million DPS, which is still quite good. So yeah, I hope this is good enough footage for you to see like, hey, the budget version, you don't need mirror gear to play this build. It's still really good. With that said, the build is still relatively expensive, but I will go over budget options in this video. And also one more thing, Z-Boob, this guy plays brands every single league, and he league starts brands. So if you have no currency whatsoever, you want to play brands, go to this guy. He plays brands every single league. He's gonna have like complete league starter POBs for Penance brand. Let's go over the POBs. So this is the budget POB, and do check the note section. I have a guide here on how to craft every single piece, including the cluster jewels. Also go over like specters, Watch's Eye, forbidden jewels, militant faith, all that. If you're wondering how do you search for militant faith, do check my video from like last week or something. I made a complete guide on how to search for timeless jewels. These aren't that bad to find. I give you some options of what you can look for as well. Now, also the video link is right here as well. So yeah, let's go over the POB, how expensive this is and how much you really need to get started. So overall, I think you can make the minimum budget somewhere around 300 to 400 divines. And the reason why is the ghost ones, they're just like 100 divines each, so they're just expensive. And while you can play the build without ghost ones, I wouldn't entirely suggest it because it's like half your movement speed and so much of your cast speed. It just won't feel that good without it. It is playable without it. It just won't feel good without it. So yeah, majority of the budget is just straight up coming from the Haunted by Tormented Spirits enchants, which cost power runes, and of course power runes are expensive. So this is majority of the cost right here. Outside of that, the only other expensive piece would be the body armor, but there are budget options for this as well. And I guess the Watch's Eye and Forbidden Flesh and Flame. So let's go to Watch's Eye. For Watch's Eye, the only real important mod here is the chance to spread spell damage while affected by grace, which is like 2 divines. Once you add in the hatred crit, that's when it goes to like 100 divines, but it's not needed whatsoever. You can use a different secondary mod. You can use Zealotry crit, Zealotry cast speed, you can do precision multi, whatever. This is just your ideal Watch's Eye. It's not needed to play the build. The only one that's needed is chance to spread spell damage while affected by grace. The second mod can be whatever, but hatred crit is the best. Next is the Forbidden Flame and Flesh. I think these cost over 100 divines total, but they aren't needed to start the build at all. So I think like one thing people kind of forget, like if you take this off, for example, your damage is still really good. Your defense is good enough. You get 4 endurance charges and 4 power charges. Keep that in mind. They are good, but they aren't needed to play the build. So if you can't afford these to start, don't worry about it. The build's still going to function completely fine. Of course, I do recommend it as soon as you can get it. But yeah, it is not needed whatsoever to start the build. You can play without these, no issue whatsoever. Besides that, the Militant Faith, you should be able to get one of these for like anywhere from like 1 to 10 divines. Once again, you just have to know how to search. And that's really about it. Everything else is cheap. I mean, the ring is probably upwards of, if you set up like tier 2 rolls, not all tier 1s, probably like 50 to 60 divines. Amulet, amulet's like 1 to 5 divines. If you can't find an amulet like this, just use a replica Dragon Fang. These are like 1 divines each, pretty cheap. Boots, maybe like 20 divines or 10 divines. Hard to say, but boots like these aren't that expensive in the league. I would say like 20 divines. Gloves, maybe like 30 to 40 divine gloves, but once again, these can also be more cheap. Like you can make these more budget. For example, you don't need increased damage with hits against chilled enemies. If you don't have this mod, these gloves are like probably 5 to 8 divines at most, right? So budget where you can and where you want to. You don't need to have the exact 1-to-1 POB. You just need to have the stuff that makes the the build work. Helmet. These helmets go for around 60 to 80 divines. If you want to self-craft, it'll probably like 40 to 50 divines. So not bad whatsoever. Like I said, the wands are really easy to craft. They're actually pretty cheap to craft. The expensive part is literally just the Haunted by Tormented Spirits. Besides that, I think the wand craft itself is under 20 divines each. So yeah, overall the POB, if you want to make it as cheap as possible, you can probably make our 300 divines with literally 80% of the cost probably come from the wands itself, and then you can upgrade as you go. You know, get your Forbidden Flesh and Flame after, get your Watcher's Eye, like 2 prop after, all that, right? So anyway, and once again, do check the notes section. And also, just go over the expensive POB stuff real quick, as I get this question quite a bit. So for my POB, the finished one, I always get a question, hey, what do I mirror first? The mirror priority is in my Google Sheet, if you are wondering, but if you do want to upgrade this build as you go, which is really easy and really nice because it's just straight up one-to-one upgrades. There's no real gear switching as well. Mirror the wands first, then the helmet, then the ring. And after that, you can do like body armor or boots, but that's the mirror priority. And one more thing in the budget POB, the chest, you don't need a double elevated chest, you just need an explode chest. An elevated explode chest with spell suppression is all you need. You do not need the 19% of physical damage from hits taken as cold damage. That's just for defense. All you need in this chest is spell suppression, tier 3 or better with elevated explode, and that's it. If you have lower spell suppression, then all you gotta do is click this one node for some extra spell suppression, and that's it. So yeah, I hope this helped explain what you need to get started with this build. Overall, the build isn't actually that expensive. It's just the ghost wants to make it expensive, and I wouldn't recommend to play this build without it, just because it's majority of your movement speed and it's a lot of your cast speed. You can play without it, like I said, it just won't feel as smooth and as good. But yeah, if you can build this character, it easily does like all tier 17 content, and it's really, really fun in like tier 16s as the chain explosions go very, very hard. Anyway, that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below.